Petición de principio. La petición de principio, del latín petitio principii, suponiendo el punto inicial, es una falacia que se produce cuando la proposición por ser probada se incluye implícita o explícitamente entre las premisas. 1. La primera definición conocida en Occidente de falacia fue acuñada por Aristóteles en su obra Primeros Analíticos. 2. Por ejemplo, el siguiente argumento es una petición de principio. Yo siempre digo la verdad. Por lo tanto, yo nunca miento. En este argumento, la conclusión está contenida en la premisa, pues decir la verdad es sinónimo de no mentir. Las peticiones de principio resultan más persuasivas cuando son lo suficientemente largas como para hacer olvidar al receptor que la conclusión ya fue admitida como premisa. Formalmente, las peticiones de principio son argumentos deductivamente válidos. Uno pues es deductivamente válido que de A se sigue A. Existe desacuerdo acerca de por qué algunos argumentos deductivamente válidos se consideran peticiones de principio y otros no. Una propuesta ¿quién? Es que la diferencia es psicológica. Si la conclusión nos parece demasiado obvia con respecto a las premisas, entonces consideramos que el argumento es una petición de principio. De lo contrario, no. Este término no se suele aplicar a la falacia más general que resulta cuando la evidencia dada para una proposición necesita tanta prueba como la proposición misma. El término más usado para una argumentación semejante es el de falacia de las muchas preguntas. Toda petición de principio tiene esta característica. Que la proposición por ser probada, como conclusión, se asume en algún punto anterior, se asume en alguna de las premisas. Debido a lo anterior, esta falacia fue clasificada por Aristóteles como una falacia material, en vez de como una falacia lógica. La petición de principio es una forma de razonamiento circular y, como tal, puede dejar de ser falaz si es lo suficientemente amplia. 3. Por ejemplo, en los diccionarios las definiciones son siempre circulares, pues definen palabras a partir de más palabras, pero no por eso dejan de ser informativas y por lo tanto no se consideran problemáticas. 3. Del mismo modo, una petición de principio lo suficientemente amplia puede dejar de ser un círculo vicioso para pasar a ser un círculo virtuoso. Estructura. La petición de principio tiene la siguiente estructura. P implica Q suponga P. Por lo tanto, Q. Para ilustrar este concepto se puede considerar el siguiente ejemplo. Todo lo que existe es la materia. Dios no es material. Por lo tanto, Dios no existe. Del mismo modo, todo lo que existe ha sido creado. Dios puede crear. Por lo tanto, Dios existe. Al presuponer sin demostrar desde la premisa 1 la conclusión se estaría incurriendo en este tipo de falacia.
Begging the question. Bust of Aristotle, whose prior analytics contained an early discussion of this fallacy. Begging the question is a logical fallacy which occurs when an argument's premises assume the truth of a conclusion, instead of supporting it. It is a type of circular reasoning, and an informal fallacy, in which an arguer makes an argument that requires the desired conclusion to be true. This often occurs in an indirect way such that the fallacy's presence is hidden, or at least not easily apparent. The term begging the question, as it is usually phrased, originated in the 16th century as a mistranslation of the Latin petitio principii, which actually translates to assuming the initial point. 1. In modern vernacular usage, begging the question is frequently, 2. Used to mean raising the question, or dodging the question. 1. In contexts that demand strict adherence to a technical definition of the term, many consider these usages incorrect. 3. Contents 1 Examples 2 History 3 Definition 4 Related fallacies 5 Modern usage 6 See also 7 Notes 8 References Examples All birds that are black are ravens. Therefore, all birds that are not ravens are not black. Left-handed people are better painters, because right-handed people can't paint as well. Both these arguments are logically valid in that, assuming the initial premise is correct, the conclusion logically follows. But they are nonetheless unpersuasive, because assuming the initial premise to be correct also means assuming the conclusion is correct. History The original phrase used by Aristotle from which begging the question descends is, or sometimes, asking for the initial thing. Aristotle's intended meaning is closely tied to the type of dialectical argument he discusses in his Topics, Book 8, a formalized debate in which the defending party asserts a thesis that the attacking party must attempt to refute by asking yes or no questions, and deducing some inconsistency between the responses and the original thesis. In this stylized form of debate, the proposition that the answerer undertakes to defend is called the initial thing, and one of the rules of the debate is that the questioner cannot simply ask for it. That would be trivial and uninteresting. Aristotle discusses this in Sophistical Refutations, and in Prior Analytics Book 2nd, 64b, 34, 65a9. For Circular Reasoning see 57b, 18, 59b, 1. The stylized dialectical exchanges Aristotle discusses in the topics included rules for scoring the debate, and one important issue was precisely the matter of asking for the initial thing, which included not just making the actual thesis adopted by the answerer into a question, but also making a question out of a sentence that was too close to that thesis. For example, pa. 2nd 16. The term was translated into English from Latin in the 16th century. The Latin version, petitio principii, asking for the starting point, can be interpreted in different ways. Petitio, from peto, in the post-classical context in which the phrase arose, means assuming or postulating, but in the older classical sense means petition, request or beseech. 1. 4. Principii, genitive of principium, means beginning, basis, or premise, of an argument. Literally petitio principii means assuming the premise, or assuming the original point. The Latin phrase comes from the Greek, to enarcheitisthe, asking the original point. 5. In Aristotle's prior analytics 2nd v 64b 28-65a26, begging or assuming the point at issue consists, to take the expression in its widest sense, of failing to demonstrate the required proposition. But there are several other ways in which this may happen. For example, if the argument has not taken syllogistic form at all, he may argue from premises which are less known or equally unknown, or he may establish the antecedent by means of its consequence, for demonstration proceeds from what is more certain and is prior. Now begging the question is none of these. If, however, the relation of B to C is such that they are identical, or that they are clearly convertible, or that one applies to the other, then he is begging the point at issue. Begging the question is proving what is not self-evident by means of itself, either because predicates which are identical belong to the same subject, or because the same predicate belongs to subjects which are identical. Aristotle, Who Tridenic, trans. Prior analytics Aristotle's distinction between apodictic science and other forms of non-demonstrative knowledge rests on an epistemology and metaphysics wherein appropriate first principles become apparent to the trained dialectician. Aristotle's advice in SE 27 for resolving fallacies of begging the question is brief. If one realizes that one is being asked to concede the original point, one should refuse to do so, even if the point being asked is a reputable belief. On the other hand, if one fails to realize that one has conceded the point at issue and the questioner uses the concession to produce the apparent refutation, then one should turn the tables on the sophistical opponent by oneself pointing out the fallacy committed. In dialectical exchange it is a worse mistake to be caught asking for the original point than to have inadvertently granted such a request. The answerer in such a position has failed to detect when different utterances mean the same thing. The questioner, if he did not realize he was asking the original point, has committed the same error. But if he has knowingly asked for the original point, then he reveals himself to be ontologically confused. He has mistaken what is non-self-explanatory, known through other things, to be something self-explanatory, known through itself. In pointing this out to the false reasoner, one is not just pointing out a tactical psychological misjudgment by the questioner. It is not simply that the questioner falsely thought that the original point, if placed under the guise of a semantic equivalent, or a logical equivalent, or a covering universal, or divided up into exhaustive parts, would be more persuasive to the answerer. Rather, the questioner falsely thought that a non-self-explanatory fact about the world was an explanatory first principle. For Aristotle, that certain facts are self-explanatory, while others are not, is not a reflection solely of the cognitive abilities of humans. It is primarily a reflection of the structure of non-cognitive reality. In short, a successful resolution of such a fallacy requires a firm grasp of the correct explanatory powers of things. Without a knowledge of which things are self-explanatory, and which are not, the reasoner is liable to find a question-begging argument persuasive. 5. Scott Gregory Scriba, Aristotle on False Reasoning, Language in the World and the Sophistical Refutations. Thomas Fowler believed that petitio principii would be more properly called petitio quisiti, which is literally begging the question. 6. Definition: to beg the question is to put forward an argument whose validity requires that its own conclusion is true. Also called petitio principii, the fallacy is an attempt to support a claim with a premise that itself presupposes a claim. 7. It is an attempt to prove a proposition, while simultaneously taking the proposition for granted. Given the single variable C, claim, begging the question is an attempt to assert that C in two variables, C, claim, and P, premise, it attempts to pass CP, C as the valid claim PC, citation needed. This is a form of circular reasoning, and may involve any number of variables. When the fallacy involves only a single variable, it is sometimes called a hysteron proteron. 8, 9, 10, as in the statement, opium induces sleep, because it has a soporific quality. 11. This form of the fallacy may not be immediately obvious. Linguistic variations in syntax, sentence structure and literary device may conceal it, as may other factors involved in an argument's delivery. It may take the form of an unstated premise which is essential, but not identical to the conclusion, or is controversial or questionable for the same reasons that typically might lead someone to question the conclusion. 12. Seldom is anyone going to simply place the conclusion word for word into the premises. Rather, an arguer might use phraseology that conceals the fact that the conclusion is masquerading as a premise. The conclusion is rephrased to look different, and is then placed in the premises. Paul Herrick. 13. For example, one can obscure the fallacy by first making a statement in concrete terms, then attempting to pass off an identical statement, delivered in abstract terms, as evidence for the original. 11. One could also bring forth a proposition expressed in words of Saxon origin, and give as a reason for it the very same proposition stated in words of Norman origin. 14. As here, to allow every man an unbounded freedom of speech must always be, on the whole, advantageous to the state, for it is highly conducive to the interests of the community, that each individual should enjoy a liberty perfectly unlimited of expressing his sentiments. 15. When the fallacy of begging the question is committed in more than one step, some authors dub it circulus in probando, reasoning in a circle. 8. 16. Or, more commonly, circular reasoning. Begging the question is not considered a formal fallacy, an argument that is defective, because it uses an incorrect deductive step. Rather, it is a type of informal fallacy that is logically valid but unpersuasive, in that it fails to prove anything other than what is already assumed. 17, 18, 19. Related fallacies. Main articles, circular reasoning, complex question, and ignoratio elenchi closely connected with begging the question is the fallacy of circular reasoning, circulus in probando, a fallacy in which the reasoner begins with the conclusion. 20. The individual components of a circular argument can be logically valid, because if the premises are true, the conclusion must be true, and does not lack relevance. However, circular reasoning is not persuasive, because a listener who doubts the conclusion also doubts the premise that leads to it. 21. Begging the question is similar to the complex question, also known as trick question or fallacy of many questions, a question that, to be valid, requires the truth of another question that has not been established. For example, which color dress is Mary wearing? May be fallacious, because it presupposes that Mary is wearing a dress, unless it has previously been established that her outfit is a dress. The question is fallacious, because she could be wearing a pantsuit. 22, 23. Another related fallacy is ignoratio elenchi or irrelevant conclusion, an argument that fails to address the issue in question, but appears to do so. An example might be a situation where A and B are debating whether the law permits A to do something. If A attempts to support his position with an argument that the law ought to allow him to do the thing in question, then he is guilty of ignoratio elenchi. 24. Modern usage. Many modern English speakers use beg the question to mean bear the question, suggest the question, raise the question, invite the question, evade the question, or even ignore the question, and follow that phrase with the question. For example, I weigh 120 kilograms and have severely clogged arteries, which begs the question, why have I not started exercising? In philosophical, logical, grammatical, and legal contexts, some commenters believe that such usage is mistaken, or at best, unclear.